Hey, so I'm going to be breaking down some clips of people I've been teaching at the local ski centre. Hopefully from this you'll be able to learn a bit and take something from what I'm saying. So here we've got Caleb starting off. So Caleb here is going for a Misty, which is sort of a front flip with a 180 in it. Although I like to think of it more as you're doing a 90-degree spin and then a side flip followed by another 90-degree spin. And when we look at the way Caleb's doing it, we can see he's coming in. He's got his right hand higher up, meaning he's probably going to be spinning left, as we can see. But he sets it almost like a front flip, and then he's spinning out of it. Now, what we ideally want is at this point, Caleb should be sideways already, and it should be flipping more like a side flip, so that when he gets the last bit of rotation at the end, he'd be facing up the hill. And obviously we want to rotate it round a bit more, but getting more speed and more height, that's no issue. We can also see he has his left ski doing a bit of a plow on the takeoff. That's an issue we've been working on with Caleb. That's fine. Ignore that for now. It's ingrained in his muscle memory. So essentially what he needs to do currently on his takeoff, he's setting it in up like this, and then he's flipping down and forwards, whereas he should be flipping across this way. So as he comes in, we want to see him flipping sideways like this if this is side on, and then flipping like round into a side flip rotation and opening up his left shoulder, whereas currently he's just throwing it down and then opening out the spin at the end. Once we've implemented that change, I'm sure he's going to stomp them. Okay, you've got Sterling, who has got no fear in him. This man has been learning 360s recently. We can see there's a couple things in this that need to be changed. First of all, say he's not popping very much. So every time we're taking off, we need to make sure we're popping, otherwise you're not in much control. And as we can see, he's getting the rotation round, but he's not able to stick the landing because he's not above his skis are ahead of him. And the best way to fix that for him would be to pop. That's the number one thing he could add in. So just crouching down a bit more on the way in and making sure as he does that spin, he's popping up to give himself control over this angle in the air. A couple other things with timing, and he's got a bit of a plow on the takeoff there. But he's managing to keep his head up pretty well. So I'm sure we'll get this one pretty soon. Willem's got the pop on his takeoff, which is good, but his wind up isn't quite there. You can see he is using his right arm to get that spin round, but he's not following through. As soon as he's in the air, his arm's coming back and he's counter-rotating his skis around. So there's not actually any momentum he's following through into the spin with, using his upper body. Okay, here we've got my friend Cole going for a lazy boy. This is one of the most fun tricks there is. Nothing quite feels as chilled and just stylish and fun as a lazy boy, and it is so easy to do once you get the knack for it. Now we can see here he's landing it right. Obviously there's much more to be desired here, and he's done much better ones than this, and you can probably guess yourself by looking at this what would need to be changed. But he got too lazy. He is like sitting on the ground as he takes off here. Really, we want to come in with a nice carve, sort of carving here. He's all right, but then his butt sinks down and he loses his edge and just drifts off the jump there. If he could have held that carve, stayed on top of his skis a bit more, then he would have stomped it. Would have had his chest up higher, the drag would have worked better, but there that was like, oh, what's happening? I'm going to land instead, rather than style it out. And he would have gone a lot more speed if he didn't drag there. Nonetheless, pretty cool. Okay, got Ayla's 540s. So you can see, nice T-set on the takeoff. Bit of pop, could be more pop. Obviously, we're not getting the rotation the full way round, so we're going to have to take more speed in here or hold it. And I think Ayla's opening up around here. She's a bit wider on the knees, and that's slowing her rotation round because she's getting ready for a landing. And if so, she held her spin, it would be much better. And obviously she's coming chest to the ground on the landing. That's because she's a bit back seat. On the takeoff here, we can see her looking at the ground, so that is something we'd need to sort out. Keeping the head up would be the main thing. And then adding in a bit more speed, and those are going to be stomped. But I think we'll have a few more examples of those as we go through these clips. Yeah, same again, looking at the ground there. Just under on the rotation. Same again, just a bit under on the rotation. But didn't actually touch the ground that time. So the balance was better. Still looking at the ground on the takeoff though. It's not ideal. And this was one of the best ones. See, she's still looking at the ground there, so that's that's something we're gonna have to work out. And that'll fix the balance issue. Hands are coming up there, opening out to land, getting at the footway round. It's a pretty stomped 5. Ooh, very nice Finlay with a lip slide. Coming in, solid pop, but we can see, so problem, he's not getting to the very end of the rail. He's sliding off to my side before he gets to the end, right? And why is that? Well, that's because his center of gravity when he lands on the rail is not above it. You can see his right shoulder and his chest are actually, they're over on this side. He's not straight up and down on the rail. Because on his takeoff here, he's pushing with his hips, leading with his hips there, and then swiveling on, right? But he's putting his feet ahead of himself onto the rail in this direction. It's too close to Zoe. Whereas he needs to be getting his whole body across and on top of that rail if he wants to slide to the end more solidly. This is very similar to something... Yeah, so here we can see Bailey having the same problem. He's coming off to that side early at the end of the rail. And you can see it's because as he lands, this one was quite a good one in fact, compared to what some of them looked like. But you can see on this takeoff there, he's really looking down under his arm, which means when he's landing, he's hinging at the hips. So his center of gravity is not above that rail. It's across to my side, and so he slides off early. Always got to make sure you're centered on that rail. Lovely. This was a fun one to film. Fun one to coach. Sandra's really good at Misties, so we decided to pop in a new grab. Lead Japan. That is nice. Solid takeoff. Setting it down. Maybe her left arm could be higher up on that set to help propel some more flip. However, she's going for a grab with it, so it's coming down quite early. And this is a pretty small jump to be doing these tricks on. This would look much nicer and be much easier for Sandra on a bigger jump. But she puts it down anyway. Obviously, it could be more chest up, and we can see that she's having to hold that to 5. That would want to go to 7. So I think on that takeoff, at this point here, right, we can see that she's in sort of this position as she sets in, and we need to get her left arm up as she sets, and then she can come down for the grab a bit later on, and that's going to help ping a bit more flip in there. Nonetheless, pretty nice. Yeah, see, a bit over on the spin, so we're wanting to go a bit more flip, a bit less spin. Woo! Same with that one. Okay, Cameron was going for Japans in his 3s, trying to get a new grab. Not quite getting it there, pretty close. Let's see. We've got a bunch of clips here. Very close. This one was better, but we can see he just doesn't quite get that grab. His hand is so close, but he did not get it. What I would think is his main focus here. So honestly, he just needs to pull that right knee up a bit more Suck it right up to his chest. Make the ski more available for the grab. Maybe even give it a bit more power, because he could still be holding it and going for the grab up until here is where ideally he would want to let go. So if he was to give it a bit more pop, a bit more power on the takeoff, because you can see his left hand is down already. So yeah, both hands staying up until here. He should be going for the grab. So it's all happened a bit early. I think you could just delay it all, and that would give him some more time to get it a bit cleaner.
Oh.
That one was a bit over on the flip and the spin. What went wrong here? Okay, so as we can see, Sandra lands leaning towards me. Her weight's on her left foot, pretty much fully there, and that's because we can see on the takeoff, she does lean. It's hard to see from this angle, but she is leaning her center of gravity in my direction on the takeoff. So rather than having a squared takeoff where she's coming forward like this, she's setting it like this. It's almost a, the hint of rodeo in there. I think it gives her more power to set it that way. However, it is putting her balance off very slightly. Oh, unlucky Caleb. That was pretty solid. Needs to put a grab in there though. Mr. Grabless. And then obviously he's toe heavy on the landing. He's just a little bit backseat on that takeoff. Really leading with his right foot though. That's because he's got that snowplow. We need to fix this. So Owen. Nice, Owen. This was his first attempt at a 540 on the bigger jump. Obviously we're very penciled. Grabs will come a bit later for Owen. I think he could do with popping and separating the spin by a little bit, because he is spinning the second he's in the air. And I think that's why his weight's coming back a bit and he's landing so toe heavy. I think if he was to take more of a takeoff, pop up, then spin around, rather than right now where he's just straight from the takeoff, it doesn't leave you much time to be well balanced. Whereas if you can pop up and then bring the spin in, a slight delay, and I'm talking milliseconds, he's going to have a bit more control over how he lands. His second attempt, relatively similar. This one, he holds it. Again, I think we're just pulling in too early there, Owen. We can be more chilled on the takeoff, then wrap it through slightly later on. Although he's a bit over on the spin. As he opens out, we can see he comes to 3, opens out, and he's looking at the ground for his landing, so that's also not going to help. Keeping that chest up in the second half and being more patient in the first half. That's going to be our action steps. Look at that angle. Going for a cork 3. So looking down for the grab or looking down at the takeoff since she's in the air, that's the main problem there. And if we can just keep that chest up as we take off, we don't want to be setting like this, we want to be setting like this. That's going to help it. And our balance is going to be way better. Because right now it's a very backseat and it's off to one side, because as she looks down, she's almost throwing her feet up. You can see here, right? Her feet are coming up in this direction. Up and to the left a bit. Which is why when she lands, yep, you see she's right leg heavy. Because she's sort of throwing her feet up here. As she sets, she's almost bringing her hips and feet up this way. Very slightly. And that's meaning when she comes around, she's off balance. Needs to be an up, leave your feet underneath you. If you need to pull your knees up, do that. And round. Leading with the head. And not looking at the ground, Ayla. Come on. Whew. New joiner to our lessons, learning 360s. We've cleaned these up a lot since. Essentially the cue was to stop looking at the ground, because we can see as soon as he takes off, He's looking at the ground there. That's setting him back. And feet are coming in together on the takeoff, so we need to really engage those hips, keep those feet out and solid at a wider stance right through the takeoff, and keep the weight evenly pressing off of both feet. But we can see there, left foot's in the air and the right foot's still going, and then boom, it's going off balance. And because he's looking down, he's just losing where he is, having to squeak it round. Takeoff's everything here. More lazy boys. Right, we'll end it off with looking at these. Cameron learning them now. You can see pretty solid, he's getting it. It's a small jump to get it on. You can see he's dragging his hand, he's on his carve at this point, right? I would be waiting later. And he's right out to the left, which means that when he has finished his carve and he's on the takeoff, he's already sideways, right? So we want really, at this point he's starting his carve and he's going in this direction. So by the time he takes off, he's here, right? We need to be starting the carve higher up the jump, and I'd say pointing slightly to the left, so that as you carve, your carve straightens yourself up and you take off that jump squared. And that's the point. That should be his sort of takeoff angle, about here. But he's still got another meter to go. So we can just be more patient on this timing. He's going to absolutely nail these. And then we can take them to the bigger jump, and that's when they get so fun. But nonetheless, he's got it. Literally just needs to be more patient and work on his line and experiment with that a little bit. Okay, I hope my breakdown of these clips has been useful, and from it you've been able to learn something that you can sort of use to analyze your own clips, see them, and see what you would need to change to improve those tricks, neaten them up, get those landings cleaner. If you have any clips yourself of you trying to learn something and you're just not quite getting it, please send them in to me. My email address will be in the description. And if you send me in any clips, I guarantee you that they'll be up on the video. And I'll, in my next one, break them down and explain to you in high detail what your next step should be to improve those tricks and how you're going to move on and what tricks to be learning next. Thank you.